Hey everybody, Dave Pearson here, Regional Educator for L'Oreal Professional for the state of Florida. I'm here with my model Erika today, and she's coming back from last week's tutorial where I did Blonde Studio 9 face frame on her, where you can see all her amazing lift that we got out of that Blonde Studio 9 application, doing just the face frame balayage, but enclosing those balayage pieces into a foil. Personally, I'm in love with her color as it is, but what I want to do today is highlight something new that we've introduced this year called Majirel Cool Inforced. So it's a new piece of the Majirel Classic family. It's not breaking out into its own new separate category. It will just live within Majirel Classic. It's just a cooler version. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to remove the warmth from her hair. I'm going to be using a 9.1 Cool Inforced, so I'm not looking really to change the base color, but I am going to be using it with 20 volume. So if I bump the base a little bit, I'm not really going to be very mad about it. She can afford to have that base bumped a little bit, and the cool tones and the pigments within the Cool Inforced are going to help me neutralize any underlying pigment that pops up. So we are going to go ahead and do that today, but before we do that, I just wanted to go through a couple of bits of information that I think is going to be very essential for you guys to know, which is how to use it. Okay, so we are launching 11 new shades. They are now currently available, 6 weeks of neutralization, and it has an anti-brass effect. So for us down here in Florida specifically, we're constantly in the sun, our hair is constantly getting oxidized, so this is going to be a great tool for us to be able to keep our guests cool without that brass oxidation from coming back. Okay. All right, just a little note about the box. So when you are looking at the box, the designation on the box is CI for Cool Inforced. All right, it also says Cool Inforced on the tab of the box, and that way you can help to easily identify whether or not you're pulling a Majirel Classic 8.1, a Cool Inforced 8.1, or a Cool Cover 8.1. And I'll show you where each of those lie in terms of the opacity level and coolness to warmth level. All right, so these are the 11 colors, and then we have 4 0.13s. And the 0.13s, why would you introduce a blue gold? Well, blue golds create a really beautiful beige. And so that percentage of gold that we're using in these tubes, which is about a 30% gold to 70% ash in that tube of color, that gold is really just softening the intensity of the ash, but it's still able to do its neutralization. So you're just getting a more beiged look to your tone. All right, you can get 3 levels of lift because you can use up to 30 volume Majirel. The mix ratio, as always with Majirel Classic, is 1 to 1.5, so 1 part color to 1.5 parts developer, and the processing time is 35 minutes. All right, so here's a great little breakdown slides of where Majirel Cool Inforced lives, and this one down here in the bottom right side is my particular favorite because it shows the positioning of all 3. Because so far, my biggest question that I've been getting from my salons is, do I need all 3? My answer is yes, because it's just another tool in your toolbox to be able to do hair color for your guests. Somebody new who may be coming in that you've not done before, and she's requesting the Cool Inforced look, but you don't have it. So if you had only Cool Cover, where you're going half a level darker to a level darker, cool opaque coverage, or you're going Majirel Classic, which is true to level, but a little bit more on the warm side, even though we are in equal parts base of blue, red, and yellow, okay? But what this chart shows you is Majirel Classic living here over on the translucent, more translucent side, all right? And it's on the bottom, which is also meaning it's on the warmer side. Cool Inforced lives above it, slightly more opacity to it, slightly more coolness as well, all right? And then Majirel Cool Cover is the ultimate coolness and the ultimate opacity. Here's some really great before and afters. We were able to take this beautiful chestnut brown to a smoky ash brunette, and they did that using the 5.1 and 7.1 Cool Inforced tones. They did the 5.1 at her root, and then they did both tones on her mids and ends. On her mids and ends, they did a mixture of 20 and 30 volume to achieve that look. Stunning, if you ask me. Then we took somebody before who was a little bit more on the dark blonde side, dirty blonde, if you will, and they were able to brighten her up quite dramatically using the CI 7.13 and 8.13. So they were able to give her brightness, but not really making her super ashy, but she's also not super warm. So the sandy golden blonde is a perfect explanation of her color. It's very natural, very lived in, like she just spent the whole time, the whole summer at the beach. So one of the things that we're also asking is a show and tell, call to action, right? We'd love to hear any testimonials that you have if you've used the Majirel Cool Inforced so far, posting a testimonial on your Instagram account, a Facebook Live. Please make sure you tag at L'Oreal Pro Education US and tag at Hair by Dave, which is me, all right? Because I want to be able to see your testimony as well, especially since I'm the one who gave you that call to action. So get it going. We're looking for them. And also, if you have any comments about if you've used it, I'd love to see your comments on what you think about this tutorial. Once you've watched it, put your comments down in the bottom, and looking forward to reading everything that you guys have to say. All right, so we're just gonna back it up here. All right, back to the main page. Because this is enough of the presentation, we're going to get into the actual hair now, where I'm actually going to go ahead and start doing Erika. So as I said, I'm going to be using the Cool Inforced 9.1 on her. All right, I am going to be using 20 volume, and I am going to be mixing her color in the Majirel shaker. Okay, I'm back. So what I did was I dispensed one full tube of the Majirel Cool Inforced 9.1 into the half of the shaker that says Enoa on the side, because what I know about that is that means I can use the other side of the L'Oreal shaker that says Majirel and Dia. Because I used a full tube, that means I'm going to measure out 2.6 ounces of 20 volume, which is listed right here on the shaker. So no calculations needed, it's all pre-measured. All right, so you just fill in the other side. Put your, since I used the whole tube, I have my cap that I'm just going to toss out, and I'm going to throw it in. I'm going to then put my color section on, and now I'm going to shake it. So the reason why I put my cap top into the shaker is because it helps actually to help mix the color, like you would be shaking a paint can. So you know how the spray paint can has all those little ball bearing in it to help keep and mix the paint? The cap does the same thing in a Majirel shaker. All right, I highly recommend just keeping a few handy so that as you move along, you can just keep using them. Otherwise, at some point, if you keep throwing them all away, you're gonna run out eventually. All right, so that's enough shaking. All right, it's all beautifully mixed. I'll show you that in a second. I'm just gonna scoop out the excess from one side. Doesn't matter which side you're using, okay? I'm not gonna transfer it to a different color bowl because why do more dishes, right? And here is how creamy it is when you've mixed it in the shaker. So mixing in the shaker doesn't introduce as much oxygen during the mixing process, so it's really nice and thick and creamy. And I did mix a full tube because I am gonna do a global application on her. I'm gonna do her whole head. So where would you normally start your single process application? Would you normally start it in the front? I hear some people that is where they start. They start in the front because people have resistant grays. They want the color to be able to sit on longer. That's fine, do their hairline first. But what we recommend as a brand is actually starting in the back. And the reason why is that we're able to quadrant out the hair into 4 sections. So right through the middle, so we get a quadrant here, quadrant in the forward side, a quadrant here, and a quadrant here. And we're able to begin our color process where we're starting at the bottom and working our way up. And as we're working our way up, we're actually folding all of the hair backward. So by the time we get to the finishing point, our guest's hair color is beautifully out of her face, laying perfectly smooth, She doesn't look like a doll from the movie Trolls. It's the attention to detail that matters these days. Your clients are looking for things that make you different. And if you're taking the time, that little bit of extra time, to make sure that your guest's hair is laying back neatly while her color is processing, no excess color around her face, she's going to make note of that, especially if her previous experience has been, you know, color smears all over with her hair all over the place. She's going to notice that this application is different. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And how I do it, I'm not going to use any clips. I'm just going to use, you know, freehand here. All right, but what I am going to do is I'm going to apply color to my partings, right? So that'll help me keep the hair in place while I'm doing my sections. All right, I will get over there so you can see what I'm doing in 1 second. All right, so I'm coming on this side. I just want to work neat, like always. Get clean lines, right? So now I'm going to just take the color and I'm going to apply it to her parting. Again, I'm doing a global application, so she's getting color absolutely everywhere. All right, and all this is doing is it's just helping me with my partings. All right, and then I'm going to split it down the back. Do the same thing. All right, oh, she's spinning on me here. All right, oh. Right. So just cleaning up those partings so that you can get in and get going. Once you start doing it this way and you've done it, practiced it a few times, it becomes no effort at all. It's just muscle memory at that point, right? So, I don't know why she's spinning, but turn it around. There we go. Sometimes you got to make your guests work for you. You know, just ask her to tilt her head down if that makes it easier. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and start in the back here. So I am dealing with the bob, so I have all this short hair underneath. So I am going to go ahead and get that. All right, and I am just working my way up, nice and clean. I like to hit the top and the bottom of a section, and what I mean by that is when the hair is going to be painted, I take my color and I hit it on the bottom and then I push it up as well. That way you're just assuring optimal coverage, right? This is unlike in Noah, which you are going to do a top and a back, top, bottom coverage, but your sections are going to be a little finer because in Noah, because it's an ammonia-free color, won't swell like this one will. So ammonia-free hair color, when you're doing applications, are a little bit more forgiving when you're applying because the color does swell and it allows for color by association. So it gives you a little bit of a helping hand with the swelling. Right? It's not crazy, but just enough that it gets those pieces that maybe you missed a little section, or like I'm using a brush with slightly rounded ends, which I would not use with a Noah. All right, so I am doing her roots first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go back and then do her mids and ends. So the reason why I can do that versus doing the mids and ends first and then doing the hairline is because it is mannequin hair and I'm not dealing with head heat at the moment. So if I were dealing with head heat and I was doing this global application, I most likely would maybe have started with the mids and ends first, and then gone back and done the roots. So the head heat is not really interfering or getting lighter than my mids and ends, right? No hot roots are going to get created here on this mannequin. All right, so you just want to work cleanly, right? So so far it's all laid back. I'm going to go ahead and smooth that back down once I get to the mids and ends. Just going to finish this section, and then we'll show you what the finished result looks like in a minute. Okay, so Erika's application is 100% complete, and as you can see here, this is what I mean by a luxury application. So I did start in the back, and I started in the bottom, and then I keep layering things over onto each other this way. And then as I started getting to the apex of the head up here, I started going slightly, took these sections, and I'm going vertical instead of horizontal. So horizontal placements, when you're doing single process deposits and you're doing horizontal sectioning, what that creates is a very hard line of demarcation. So the other thing that this application does for you by doing your deposits vertically and laying them back is that you actually get a softer regrowth, because when the hair grows, the hair all grows at slightly different rates. And so when you're doing it vertically, you're just going to get a softer regrowth look versus a hard line, because if you painted it all at the same section, it's going to sort of drop more solidly. Whereas if you're painting them vertically, you have two things going vertically. This one could grow a little bit faster than this one, and so you get more of a choppy effect. And so it just allows your guest's regrowth to grow a little cleaner as well. And so this is what the back looks like. So it's just nice and clean. And this is a great way to leave your guest sitting and processing, especially if she's in front of a mirror. All right, just a little tip. I hope you found that useful. Hey, it's me and Erika again. Thanks for stopping by. She's done, and I must say, I am super happy with the results. So if you remember before, she had a beautiful face frame using Blonde Studio 9, and she had some really bright pieces. Some of them I would even venture to say were like at level 12, 11, a couple of pieces. Now what I did was I glossed her. I did a global all over application of Cool Inforced 9.1 with 20 volume, and I left it on for a full 35 minutes. So yes, it did darken her highlights, okay, so it did bring those down. But I chose to use a 9.1 because I wanted to be able to show the difference visually here on camera. And if I had done a 10.1, I don't know if it would have been as impactful, which is why I made the choice I made. But you can still see her light pieces here coming through, but they are beautifully cool. They're not ashy, they don't look blue at all. Let me switch sides so you can get her in the natural sun. I'm thrilled. It took her level 7 down. It just cooled it off. It's just a really easy color. Yeah, I did a blow dry, just super smooth this time, so you could see the amazing haircut that she did have and how the color looks on her. I'll give you a full circle turn. Now remember, we didn't do any highlights in the back, but even that got cooled off. But really the big show here is what it did to the highlighted pieces. And yes, it brought them down using a 9.1, but they're still perfectly cool and not ashy. So Cool Inforced, thumbs up, it did its job exactly how I anticipated it to do. Great being able to prove this to you and to me. Sometimes, you know, when you're using a new product, you're just a little scary to pull the trigger, and with this one, the results are amazing. Have a great day.